Hello and welcome to Cash Furnace. My name is Paul Konzerski, and together with my co-host Eric Downs, we aim to become your go-to source for daily stock and crypto market news. Today's date is January 15, 2021. In today's podcast, we're going to cover virus fears, pushing money into genomics. In crypto news, we're going to cover money flowing into the altcoins, typical crypto cycles, and we're also going to cover the recent Bitcoin drop, what to expect. Are we going to zero? Find out. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you see and you want the news to keep coming, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and comment and help us run up this YouTube algorithm. Let's make some money.
Let's do it.
All right, my man. Let's get to your virus news.
Yeah, so this one caught my eye. Obviously, coming in today, just after Biden's speech, the first thing you'd think we would want to talk about is Biden. And nope. This headline really caught my eye because I've been seeing headlines similar, about new mutant strains of coronavirus making their way around Europe. I've heard speculation that they're supposed to reach the US and in full force in March. But this one caught my eye because it really leans on the genomic side of our strategy in sort of documenting, tracking, and containing the virus. I know this is so far in most of our episodes we've talked about Cathie Wood a lot. I can't help but predict that that's probably not going to stop anytime soon, because let's face it, so much of what she does is so future facing. And I know that she has a fund that's specifically engineered or geared towards genomics. But what really stood out to me about this particular article was that what it notes is that the US is dramatically behind the rest of the world in the sequencing of its COVID-19 virus samples. Up until mid-December, the US had about 0.3% of its COVID-19 samples processed, despite having a quarter of the world's cases. Now, conversely, countries like the UK, they're up in like 10%. Australia is doing them in a real-time basis, and that's. It's amazing. It kind of blows my mind that that genomics is something that is so widely. I guess what stands out to me is that it's clearly so widely accepted and utilized in the rest of the developed world.
Right.
For whatever reason, we're very behind right now. But to me, what this is an indicator of is its its viability, its potential for the future. I know at the very beginning of the year, Cathie came out and made a big statement. The genomics is the next big thing. She just said it flat out. And
well, I mean, for our listeners and our viewers, genomics is essentially taking your own body and altering it so it will fight future viruses like that. Eradication of diseases that constantly come back, smallpox, polio, etc., even autoimmune diseases, stuff like that, where you basically go in and you alter your genetic code in order to change it so you don't get these illnesses or these side effects, or you could completely eliminate a lot of things. People are thinking potentially of it as a cancer therapeutic. There is unlimited, basically anything that can happen to the human body, right, can be solved theoretically through genomics. So I have when it comes to genomics is genomics has been a thing for many, many years. And the human body is incredibly complex. And the one thing that I think us as humans kind of don't respect is the fact that we still don't know a shitload about what goes on. And there's still a whole lot of question marks about the genomics field just in general, right? We've learned a ton has been opened up. We could sequence a genome in 6 hours, which is unbelievable considering it was 10 years at one point, right? But I guess my one hesitancy is that there's just a lot of unknowns, and we don't know if we're going to see that same exponential curve upwards into solving essentially illnesses just yet. We could be, and this is what I wonder if Kathy has some like inside information with talking with, she obviously gets to talk with the head CEOs of these giant pharmaceutical companies, these genomics companies. Is she seeing that we're on that cusp where all of a sudden one disease gets solved via genomics, and then it's just like this snowball, right? Where in the next 10 years, we have 100 different diseases that suddenly can be solved with, and pharmaceuticals is no longer a thing. That's what I wonder, but I'm hesitant to dive in just yet because I know how hard the field can be.
I mean, I'm still struggling with the fact that up until now, I've been mispronouncing the damn word. I just realized it's the human genome, not the genome, and I've been calling genomics.
Yeah, genomics.
All right. Well, look, what are my qualifications
right,
to even speak on this, man? Look, honestly, for me, that's actually that's just like my tidbit of the day that caught my eye, but that's probably the extent of my contribution.
No, it's just a really cool kind of thought process to it. I wonder if she knows. Like 2 years, we're golden, man. And all of a sudden, over-the-counter pharmaceuticals are now pretty much dead and gone. Well, can't say dead and gone, right? There are a lot of diseases out there. People have a lot of problems.
A lot of disease, and there's a lot of money behind that that would be uprooted. Which is
yes, there are.
We already know how hard it is to fight oil and other things like that. So pharmaceuticals is I don't know how the two compare in market cap, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're not far from each other.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I know one company in particular pretty well. I believe they're top 30 and their profit margin, they're only top 30 and their profit margin was $82 billion last year. So you can only imagine the amount of money that's back there.
Yeah.
Not quite oil, but those are some big boys.
Indeed.
So,
well, Paulie, let's take it on to your segment.
Yeah. It's going to be a pretty short episode today for everybody, just so you know. So let me screen share here quick. And you got to enable it there for me, Eric.
Dude, how this isn't a default setting at this point that I can always set is...
I know.
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. All right, the big thing I wanted to talk about today, obviously, we'll look at the chart. We had a decent sized crypto drop to about the 3,500 range, which is something we covered as a possibility the past couple of days. Should we be freaking out? I don't think so, but we'll get to that. I wanted to cover really here, just for our listeners, the altcoin cycle, right? And Raoul Pal, who's a pretty prominent public figure when it comes to cryptocurrency, says higher risk altcoins are likely to follow Ethereum, which I'm not going to go into the whole article. There's not a ton of data. However, just so the listeners know, if you've been in the crypto space, him saying this statement, it's kind of like, it's the equivalent of saying, yes, this glass can hold water. It's a no shit kind of opinion that he threw out there. But for everyone new in the space that might not know, when Bitcoin goes on these parabolic cycles, right, everybody piles in for the ride up. And then when we kind of flatten out and we stabilize, the money typically then flows down into the bigger altcoins, Ethereum, Litecoin, we have a couple of bigger ones right now. Link is a pretty well-known one, but the big, trusted, well-known altcoins will get this secondary flow of money first. And then when those go up and stabilize, then you get the really risky stuff that gets pumped absolutely to the moon, right? And if you do this right, if you pick the right projects that have a lot of hype, that have a decent amount of technology backing them and a lot of news around them, you can make a metric fuckload of money, right? We're talking 70, 80% pumps in 2 days, 3 days in some of these smaller altcoins. But this is really tempting to everyone, right? And what some people will do is they'll say, hey, Bitcoin is where it is. I'm going to pull all of my Bitcoin and put it into Ethereum, Cardano, Link for the second wave. And that might work. Your second wave might go up. You might outperform by a long shot wherever Bitcoin's going. Then you put it into the smaller altcoins. But what you have to realize is at any point in time, if Bitcoin decides to drop or spike, that entire cycle has been invalidated and starts over again.
Mm-hmm.
And you can lose a lot of money, especially if you're in that third tier of really high risk small cap altcoins, because they will lose value so quickly from people emergency piling into Bitcoin, because they're not necessarily trusted projects yet. People are in them just to make money, just to ride these giant pumps. You can lose easily 70, 80% in a day. No problem. So for anybody that is tempted by this, I would say, not financial advice, but what I've done in the past is 10% absolute max into altcoins that you might think have good projects, good leaders, good hype behind them. But don't be too tempted. Don't be too greedy, because you will get fucking wrecked. Explicit podcast here. But really, I want to emphasize this. Don't get too greedy, guys, because it will bite you in the ass. All right, let's.
Words from the wise, man. And this guy knows.
Well, to be fair, I've lost a lot of money being that greedy guy, right? So I don't want anybody else to up. We'll look at the chart quick. I believe last night we were right about here, right at that $39,000 level. We were talking about how there was heavy resistance, but we had to see where this chart went. So we had them because it was pretty textbook, but it invalidated, right? And as soon as it invalidated, we got a pretty heavy dump here. Now, we also talked about 3,600 range being a pretty solid area of support, which we've seen. But right now, we're actually showing a decent amount of weakness in this area, right? And if we zoom in to a little bit closer time frames, we could see how, even though the momentum kind of started pulling up, we really don't have much here. We're still in a pretty bearish short-term outcome. So where I'm looking next for all our viewers is right here. If we zoom out on this ascending support line that we've had with this recent market. And it shows a little better on the hourlies because I invalidated the wicks when I drew it. So, but what we're looking for right about, we'll see if we see a pretty heavy tank, we're going to get some sort of action here, right? Because we have action in the past right on this 33.2 level. But I think a major test is going to be 32.4 area, right? 32.2, 32.4. We'll probably wick a little below before we support here. So a good buy-in potentially would be the 31.5 level. And if we break that and then we break through 30,000, which is a very heavy psychological floor, then we're going to be pretty bullish here. We're talking, or we're going to be pretty bearish here. My apologies. We're talking 2,600 level, where our next point would be, right around here. And this is where I think worst case scenario, we're going to stop. Again, that could bite me in the ass for saying that, but you got to remember that the major institutions, that's the biggest area where they bought in last in December, is right around the 2,400 to 2,600 mark. And as we've said it over and over again, these guys do not have weak hands. They are not going to sell simply because of a little bit of fear over a quick market correction. So we'll see how this plays out. And hold on to your pants, boys, because this has been a roller coaster.
Yeah,
My God.
It really
went from 40 down 10 grand, back up 9 grand, back down now, what, 5 grand? This is...
I did not expect it to fall out of that channel the way it did. That was when I woke up this morning, man. I was like, or I say not. I wouldn't say the way. I mean, it makes sense, right? It hit 40, like you said, major psychological level, and didn't hold. I get it. Maybe I just didn't expect it because I didn't want it to happen.
I wasn't that surprised because we had so far upwards to move. We would have needed to see incredible buying power, just like straight up green candle after green candle. True. Moving upwards to blow through that level, really. True. We should have, if we wanted to blow through that 40K, it should have ramped right up there, tested it and for a few hours, and then blown, blown through. But now we also have to see if we hit this 3,300 level that we're looking at, if we trend sideways for a while, and it's the reason why I brought up this article today, if we stay sideways, we cool off for a week, maybe 2 weeks, this is going to be altcoin season again. And alt season is exactly what we've just talked about for the audience. It's when everybody's money starts piling into alts. They're looking for the next big thing. And if this happens, I can almost guarantee we're going to see Ethereum hit 2,700, maybe 3,000. If we trend for a solid 2 weeks, we're going to see it get that big pop, probably stabilize for a while. And then we'll see those little ones start flipping up. So for all you that are planning to play it, good luck. Don't be too risky. And don't say I didn't warn you.
Wow. I think we got to end on that. There's no better way.
All right. So nice quick one for you guys. Happy Friday. Hope you enjoy the weekend. We're going to have a long form for you on Sunday. This is going to be our thing where we sit for an hour, maybe 2. We talk about the market. We talk about our upcoming moves for the week. We might be joined by our editor, Chris. Sometimes we get some other trading buddies along with us. Again, thank you for joining in. Remember to hit that like, subscribe, comment below what you think is going to happen. Am I an idiot? Is Eric an idiot? Why? And have a good day. Let's make some money.